Ugh. All right, I'm just kind of waiting to see someone is here. Hello. I'm just kind of waiting to see if anyone else is going to also make an appearance before I start with the reading. So, multitasking. No? Okay, bye. Ooh, okay. Maybe that was the same person who is left and back. I don't know. Hi, Mad Rider. Ah, how's it going? Okay. Hello, Lumpy Mike 69. So, if any message gets held under review, that's where it stays. I don't have time. I trust YouTube on that because I don't have time. Alright, so I was going to do some more reading. Not everybody's fave, I know. If you're at all interested in something more interesting than reading time, I did do a return to being able to do some kind of extended dancing on my YouTube over the weekend. The first live stream I had to pull because copyrighted music. Hello, Mad Rider from Ireland. What time is it over there? I'm about to call it a night over here in California, in the United States. It's not like it's late. I'm gonna have an early wake up I gotta deal with. But yeah, so if you're interested at all, especially if you have seen my shorts, if you haven't seen my shorts, they are shorts of dancing. Oh, apparently there's this very interesting song that's been making the rounds, at least on YouTube shorts, from a band in Ireland. But I unfortunately don't have time for choreo, so it is unlikely I'll be covering that one anytime soon. Okay, so on the note of I have things to do that involve sleepy times, I'm gonna set a timer for, I guess, 20 minutes. Get some reading time in. Going to continue on with this book 2, chapter 4. I want to say so, because if that was the word, S-E-W would be so. So I'm going to say so. Hi, so. But I know it could be Sue, but I'm going to use so. Okay. C++, All-in-One for Dummies. This is book 2. It's all about UML. This particular chapter that we're continuing, where that lovely piece of wrapper, because I'm poor, is holding the page. But anyway, this is this chapter, chapter 4, demonstrating behavior with UML. Let me set that timer. "20 minutes starting now." All right. Matching use cases and requirements. When you're designing software, make sure that every requirement has at least one use case associated with it, which makes sense because when you're having to go through the time and the energy to make something happen, similar, I guess, to like a movie, you usually want to point to it. I'm using like the random dancing. The point is the random dancing. But usually when you're putting that time and energy into a software, it should have a point. It should just be there just because. Even if the point is, oh, that might later be an issue, we're just going to add it in to save us some drama later on down the road. Hello, James Sharp. Then that's the point. But the point is, if there's no current use cases or potential future use cases that you have to be able to deal with, figure out, try to, use your future predicting powers on, like, what's the point? Don't do it then. Remember, the requirements describe what the software does. Table 4-1, which means I get to show off the table. Table 4-1 shows an example of how to ensure that each requirement has at least one associated use case. Remember that you normally give each use case an identifier. The need for the identifier increases as project complexity increases. You can do the same with requirements. Hello, Jonesy. Okay, so here, I don't know why every time I seem to first try to flip, it just makes closer to my face, and then it flips the second time. We'll see. No, it just like disappears things. Hello? No, now it's closer to me. Hey, what? Well, anyway. We're keeping it mellow and blue right now. All right, that right there is table -4. You can see where it says the staff requirements on the right column, and the left is the requirements, and those are effectively REQs for requirement short, and then starting with the first, and it's incremented by 1. Yeah, so starting with 1, and unlike 0, which is how that usually goes. 11. Okay, Jonesy. Sounds like a plan. All right, so right there, that's the table. Okie dokie. Here we go. Flipping that back the other way. All right. So, effectively, they're like, okay, we have these requirements. We have these use cases. Anytime that a requirement has a use case, you see a check. Otherwise, it's a blank. So you got a binary. It's either yes check or no check. In this grid, each requirement has at least one use case associated with it. Further, each use case satisfies at least one requirement. That's the other thing, yeah. If it doesn't, then it shouldn't be required, is what they're saying. Oh, right there. If a requirement were missing, you would need to add a use case. If you have a use case that does not satisfy a requirement, you must make a decision. Either you discovered a new use case, and therefore a new requirement, and you need to add that requirement, or you went overboard and added a necessary feature, in which case you eliminate the use case. Mac, that's very kind of you to say, I'm as close to married as I could get to without being married. Let's put it that way. All right, here we go. Sequence diagrams. When you are working with objects, okay, maybe my stepmom is a bit closer, but maybe Kamala's a thing in this state. I don't know. That being said, aside from being a live-in, so yeah, sorry, not available, but I could talk about books and do random dancing. Oh, well, thank you. All right, sequence diagrams. When you are working with objects, showing a time sequence of how objects interact with each other is helpful. You can do this by using a sequence diagram. Nothing to show yet. A sequence diagram can be mind-boggling when you first look at it. At least it was for us. But after you understand the layout, a sequence diagram makes more sense. In a sequence diagram, then there's some bullet points. Time moves from top to bottom. In effect, things positioned higher on the diagram happen earlier. Things positioned lower happen later. Objects are drawn side by side from left to right. I think I might be flipped. Oh, thank you. I don't know. A lot of people, they look at what I do either, well, I just started doing the lives here. I've been doing the lives recently on TikTok for about a month. And then I have the shorts here and I got the TikTok videos there and they're all different dances. Uh, I get all kinds of kudos on the TikTok here. I get some kudos, but then I also get a lot of, what the heck? And, oh my God, you can't dance. And okay, fine. Anyway, back to book reading time. When an object sends a message to calls the member of another object, you show this as a solid arrow with a filled in arrowhead. Okay, I was wondering when you're going to get to that. Above the arrow, you put the name of the function or the name of the message if you prefer that jargon. I kind of danced a little too much over the weekend, and my brain is like, why did you do that to me, and why are you trying to still live stream today? But it's just for a little bit. It should be okay. Refer to figure 4-3 for a moment. And you can see how the sequencing business works. Okay, let's do that. Let me find that. Okay, I'm referring back to that. No, my toes are not done, Oscaries. Jesus Louise. All right. So back to this part. So back to figure 4.3. That was on a previous page. Let me eventually, yeah, I don't know why that does. Okay. All right. So this is 4-3. So they're saying if we got to think about this while we go through the text. Oh, easy queso crema. Cheese cream? Okay, I suppose. C++ All-In-One For Dummies. Yeah, that's third edition. I forgot to mention this is a third edition. So if you want the most recent edition, you can look at their websites. Just Google C++ All-In-One for Dummies. I think they're on the fourth one now, but the best way to get the most recent edition is to just hop on their website. The All-In-One for Dummies. I mean, for dummies. That thing. Okay, great. Okay, back at it then. So bearing that lovely figure in mind, thinking about this idea of sequence. So refer to figure 4-3 for a moment, and you can see how the sequencing business works. We took the use case shown in the figure and built a sequence diagram from it. Note, however, that we did not include the added part about the dessert. We will add that shortly because the process of adding it is a bit more complex. Also note that to build the sequence diagram, we first had to come up with some classes. So there's the server. This is the class whose instances receive an order. Send it to a cook instance for preparation, and then take the order and deliver it to the patron. Then there's the cook class. This is a class that can receive an order and prepare it. Then there's the food class. This is a class that represents, well, food. Ah, yes. Okay, notice that we did not create a class for the patron. That's because the patron is outside the system and not a part of it. The patron instead uses the system. Figure 4-4 is an example of a sequence diagram. Remember that the stuff at the top takes place earlier in time. And as you move your eyes down the diagram, you are advancing forward in time. And even though you can move your eyes upward on the diagram, be careful. You don't want to go back in time and relive your past. Yes, I hear you. Some things would be nice, but it's been a net negative, I gotta say. All right, here we go. So this right here is the sequence diagram that's associated with the figure. Ooh, this guy. So notice there's the order food and the eat food and the pay for food. And this is the user, so they don't have a class involved, they were saying. So the patron's on the outside. And the classes that you're dealing with is a server class and the cook class. And also there is the food class that is happening. I'm trying to see where I can point. I have to practice my pointing. It's a requirement of the job I just started. Not necessarily pointing at this, but just pointing. Interesting. Oh, okay, that's the food. Okay, so we're talking about figure 4-4. Sequence diagram shows that to be over a range of time. Then there's the patron, that person. Then it says the order food hamburger. And once that is sent into the server, which is in this case instance of server, Irina is the name of the server, and then that gets out to there, which then does the prepare food. Notice it's going down because that's how the time is flowing. So they go ahead and they call out to the cook by sending the order out from the patron to the cook about the hamburger. So then further down in time, the cook creates that thing, the hamburger instance, in this case food is a class and my hamburger is the instance, then that this X, they're gonna have to explain that. I kind of forgot what the X means. But effectively, it creates, notice it on both ends. That means it's a two happening. So it gets created, then that cook takes that, sends it on back to the server, who then sends it on back to the patron. And notice how it's still going down, down, down in time. So, oh, okay. I guess that's what the X is for, is destroy. So effectively, in this case, the destroy is the eating of the hamburger because that's getting digested. So it's no longer a hamburger anymore. And it's not like, even if there's parts of the hamburger, it's not like the Chuck E. Cheese pizza thing that people kept saying that, oh my goodness, they're using the reuse. It's not that kind of thing. It's like, oh no, whatever's not eaten is trash. Either way, destroyed. So, okay, cool. So that's how that works in this case. Again, this is called a sequence diagram. So you're able to see all of the key players. You're able to see what the classes are. You're able to see what things that are actually outside of the system are. You're able to see what the steps are and what the order is and what the relationships are signified by that arrow. That's got the arrow with the filling arrowhead. So yeah. Okay. We're reading time. Okay. Here's how the diagram works. No, I danced myself out yesterday. If you want though, I did just the I just made public the stream from yesterday. So enjoy, but I need to take a break. I danced myself out. I came back in today and I was like, why am I this thirsty? And I was like, oh yeah, I kind of like overdid it a bit there. Let's see. So it says, here's how this diagram works. The objects are listed at the top along with the user who initiates the use case. Below the objects are dash lines that represent the lifeline of the object. Okay, so the dash lines are the lifeline of the object. At the top of the lifeline represents the time the object is created. For example, if you create an object in the middle, oh, I have to say, this is job trials, pretty much. I mean, I did achieve something that I didn't realize was feasible because of my math anxiety, but I did in fact graduate with a master's of science in computer science back in May. And I don't know what I'm doing with it, but I'm gonna keep at it. I'm gonna keep at it. At the very least, it should be a fun time for YouTube, huh? We'll see. Okay, so maybe some Twitch. I've got to figure that out a little better. Because I still got to figure out my life too. On top of that, it's like I'm a busy gal, but that's all good. I don't like being bored. Don't like the drama, but I also don't like the boredom, so. Okay, Kim, let's see. The top of the lifeline represents the time. Oh, yeah, I was going to say, this reminds me of distributed systems. I think we're like looking at this kind of stuff for that because, especially when you're dealing with distributed systems, you're dealing with one system, then internet happenings, then another system, and that just makes it even more confusing because there's like, Because it's like, okay, so how does a part work within itself versus the other part that works within itself? And then how do they connect? And how does that work as far as time? And then what kinds of issues do you run into on those scenarios if you have um, shared resources where so many things can go wrong if you are not able to properly figure out which of those things gets to do what when. That's also a networking issue. It's like a lot of this is just about relationships. I'm sure it's in that too, yeah. It's, but the main thing is you don't want to end like, especially if you're in deadlock, like, oh no, no fun. Oh, that's really cool. Okay. That's really good, Jiva. Oh, hey, you're here. What's up? See, I said I was going to be talking about some of this. I don't know what happened, why I'm just like getting all like salivated. Yeah, exactly. And you have to like be very on it, and you don't want to like, oh, I'm out of time. Goodness. Okay, I have to finish up the section, and then that's going to be it because I got an early start. So let me do my due diligence here and act like I know what I'm doing. Got me through grad school. I think I do it well. All right, here we go. For example, if you create an object in the middle of the use case, you would begin to um, the object at that time position, that is vertical position on the use case. Here, most of our objects existed before the use case because they're at the top of the diagram, and their lifeline stretches to the bottom of the diagram. It does not end. That means the objects are around for the full duration of the use case. However, one object, the food instance, comes to life in the middle of the use case. Now notice that a bar, a tall, thin rectangle, replaces the lifeline in some places. This is where the object has focus in the use case. Or you can say that the object is active before and after. The object is sitting there, but this use case isn't actually using the object. Although the bar is present, the use case is using the object. Finally, look at the horizontal arrows. This is where an object to the left calls the member function in an object to the right. The first arrow has a label, order food, hamburger. This arrow starts on the bar for the user called patron and points to the server object called Irona. In effect, the user calls the order food member function in the server object. Then right under that, the server lifeline becomes a bar, which means it's active. The server then calls prepare food hamburger for the cook object called Mel. When the Mel object, I've seen this instance, but yeah, I was meaning that. When the Mel object receives the prepare food hamburger message, it creates a new instance of food. Notice that the arrow to the right of the Mel lifeline calls a function in the food object, but this is not a typical function. Instead, it's a stereotype with the word create in double angle brackets. This means that the Mel object creates a new instance of food and calls it my hamburger. Sorry, I forgot the thing about the stereotype being. Because the object was just created, its lifeline begins midway down the diagram. All right, home stretch. Then the returns follow. The cook object returns an object called my hamburger, which is of class food. The server object receives this and returns it to the user. Think about this. How can the user call a function A user can do it through a user interface such as a window on the screen with buttons on it, or perhaps a menu item. That is, the user interface is the part that you see on the screen, and the name makes sense. It's the interface to the application for the user. Thus, you have a deeply philosophical concept here. By using the screen, keyboard, and mouse, you're interfacing with the computer application, calling member functions. Pretty good. And finally, notice that the user deletes the object. How can this be? Remember that this use case has a function that the user called. That function then calls destroy. The object's lifeline ends with the deletion, and you see a big X to show that the line ends. Remember, when an object on a sequence diagram calls the member function of an object to the right, a common term for this process is that the first object is sending a message to the second object. If you are using a tool to help you draw UML diagrams, the arrows might be called something like message arrows. And that's another thing that really, really, really reminds me of distributed systems. Okay, so, all kinds of fun. Hold on. Let me get caught up a little bit. Okay. Let's see. Well, thank you, Mac. I'm gonna do that as I'm maybe gonna start another job pretty soon, and then maybe add to a different job. So I don't know how many lives opportunities I'll have, but I'll at least keep going with the shorts. Gotta get that going again. I'm trying to get some data, trying to make some videos to use for some software. Okay. Right, networking. Yeah, I got to take I got to take I didn't take regular networking. I took wireless networking and I took advanced multimedia networking. So there's some things that I could get definitely refreshed on, and I'm sure I know for a fact there's like umpteen million different YouTube videos, including things from Cisco, that would likely help fill in some gaps when it comes to networking. Because at this rate, I might have to add certs in the mix and all that. Okay, Paul W's got jokes. Okay. Sure. All right. If that's true about the vaping part, then congrats. The other thing, okay. I like a good rhyme, just and that's definitely a visual, but okay. All right. So that being said, I'm all caught up with that. As far as anybody, sorry, anyone already dropped in there? Is there anyone? Do you see that my pills are starting to kick in? Because my pills are starting to kick in. I take this one thing that's for my asthma that likes to just make me as drowsy as it can. And it's starting to pop in. So, is there anything that anyone would like to put in the chat before I peace out? Because it's that time again. All right, guess not. All right, closing out time. So effectively, some of you guys were kind enough to check out Crazy Dancing Time yesterday, potentially also Saturday. The stream's up from yesterday. I'm not gonna that that one's been out since at least when I was a kid. So no, but also if you're having that issue, you need a nice door or a nice curtain then no one can see that. Yeah, unless you like it, in which case, good for you. Um, so anyway, uh, right, dancing. Sometimes depends. Mainly with my boyfriend though. All right, so let's say checking out my dancing from yesterday if you like. You're not gonna find what I did on Saturday because I deleted the upload on that one to my chagrin. It was, I don't know if I've ever had that many views before, but let's say if I have had that many views before, it's been quite a while. And I just had to delete it because I got worried about content ID. So that was a bummer, but maybe in the future. That being said, that one's available. The YouTube shorts are available. I don't have any set schedule for anything. If you're interested in subscribing, please do. If you're interested in TikTok, Becky828 on TikTok. Eventually, I will figure out some twitching again on my Twitch. Uh, that's also Becky828. I got 2 people that I can see on the counter. If there's more than that, I don't know. More dancing to come at some point. Maybe tomorrow if I'm feeling it. But, the shorts, not the lives. That's more of a keep toward the weekend thing. Don't bug my neighbor too much if I can help it. Okay. Abdullah Rizvi, you have any more things you want spelled that I'm going to not be able to? Well, I do have to go and brush my teeth now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Thank you so much for your time. Got a little bit more progress done on this. Yay for progress. I'm not even joking. I checked this book out in May, and I'm still chapter 4 now. At least I'm on chapter 4 now, book 2. But yay, finally something's helping me motivate me to read this thing. Plus, life is kind of maybe easing up a bit. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. At least it doesn't seem as disastrous as it did last month when, oh, I thought I had it bad before last month. And then, wow. But there's still time. It could still all suck. We'll see. Okay, then. Nobody's got anything to say. Thanks for joining me on some C++. Thanks for checking out the dancing for those who did and or will. And subscribe if you want to. Check me out. The TikTok, the Twitch, Becky828, there too. I'm just kind of just having a little fun while I figure out what to do with my life. All right. Enjoy whatever you're doing with your day, night, evenings, what have you. And check you later, maybe sometimes. Bye. Bye-bye.